Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio. This is your podcast for the prepared, and we've got Shane, Paris, and myself in house today. How's everybody doing today?
Excellent, very good, thank you.
Fantastic. As a reminder to all of you guys out there in listener land, we do have an awesome community you can join over on Facebook. It's called Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance. Today, we're going to dive, and dig through the topic of every day. What are you doing daily to always be prepared? Like, we're going to talk like your everyday carry stuff. We're going to talk about like, what do I check on my car, my house, my life? Like, what do I surveil? Like, what is going on the daily? And
where's your head at?
Yeah, where's your head at? What's going on with your prep game? And as a reminder, we're brought to you this segment by AMP3. If you haven't checked them out, they've got some fantastic first aid kits. Go over to amp-3.net, click on their shop, and go to all. You'll see everything. That is what you want. I personally have the individual first aid kit. Love it. I've got this really cool car kit as well that I keep in my car all the time. Check out their kits. See what you like. Here's the benefit. It's all made in America. It's all sourced from American companies. It is fantastic. We love them. Been working with them for a long time. Check out. They also teach ham. You can get a lot of cool stuff over there at AMP-3. AMP-3.net. Check it all out and use the code to get 15% off. Prepper Talk, all one word. Well, guys, I'm excited. This is a fun topic. We just finished getting the book ready to launch, Ready Radius, and there's a huge section on everyday carry. There's also a huge part of that is your situational awareness, and we even go through another one of the rings. Where's your head? What's going on in your head? This is the most important ring of preparedness, right? We talk about, that's the inner ring, the inner circle, if you will, of preparedness. And Shane, this was your topic idea, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but
it's okay. I don't need
a great topic. You need thunder.
No, I'm constantly thinking about this because sometimes I think, man, it's exhausting being me, just so many things I'm trying to keep track of in my head. Obviously, we all have our own jobs, we have our families to take care of, and that's part of it. And Scott, you say all the time, one of the best preppers is a mother, is a new mother, right? With the diaper bag, with all the gear and everything, and her head's in the right place. And when she's going places, she knows what she needs, and it's a unique place to be in. So to try and be there, I think every day for myself and each one of you, being in the right place at the right time, I guess you could put it that way. And there's so many things that go through my mind, and it's become, I think, normal, automatic for me. So this is just something I was thinking about the other day, like, okay, how do I evaluate this? How do I change it? How do I improve it? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing too much? Am I overthinking things? And so, I don't know really where to start this thing, because I think every part of my daily routine includes something, about always being prepared. Call it everyday preparedness, call it, whatever you will. Being a prepper, consider yourself a prepper or a preparer, as I like to say now. It's I think a not necessarily a higher level, but a more involved, deeper level. But and of course, EDC is right there at the top of the list, right? Where's your head at when you get out of bed? So maybe that's where we start. Let's start. Okay, you're getting out of bed first thing in the morning. Where's your head at about being prepared for that day, for everything you have to do to take care of your kids, your family, your wife, your to-dos, your vehicle, all those things. And
I think another part of an EDC, of course, you want to have your gear and your setup. Like my wife she picked up my pants the other day, and she's like, "You wear one of those? I don't know what they're called, but they're like the police belts. Like, what are those called?" There's actually a name for them.
Well, tactical belt, right? Something more.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she's like, it's like you practically have the whole, because I have a knife, and I don't have my extra magazine. I have a second magazine, and then I have my EDC, hand Second Amendment. And so, anyways, the point is that I think that it's important to be able to have a mentality waking up that, okay, today I have a plan. However, I know that I can pivot if something changes in the plan, because what's the old saying? Man makes plan and God laughs. You know what I mean? So like, it's important for us to still do our part to make plans, but also be prepared to pivot or shift or receive whatever the day is going to bring to us. I had this last week, I've had some pretty significant, I woke up just fine, but my wife woke up and she was not, just her health was really bad. And we ended up, I had to take the day off and take her to the urgent care, and, it's stuff like that. So it's like, my day was, I had plans and appointments and things that I was planning to do, but then all of a sudden it was a whole pivot, and I knew, and I was prepared with insurance, with where to take her, with, you know what I mean? Like medicines and things of that nature to help get her back to where she can be okay or better. So that's the thing too, is even with your everyday stuff, you can have a plan, but then also be mentally prepared if those plans change or shift, that you don't just get totally like, oh, you throw it like, this is not supposed to happen. Well, duh, but it did. So move forward.
That's, I think as you get older, you realize life is not what you expected it to be. So you just take it as it comes, right? You just roll with the punches, as they say.
Yeah.
And so, I guess first thing, maybe I step back a little bit further before actually stepping out of bed, right? Is what do you wear to bed? What do you expect might happen during the middle of the night? And let me give you just a little example. Is we have an older dog. He is on his deathbed, and he's mostly comfortable, but he's up in the middle of the night, and he can't necessarily get up all the time by himself. So when I hear his claws scratching on the floor, okay, I'm up. I'm there to help him up, take him outside, wipe his bum when he comes back in, right? Those types of things. But what I'm getting at here is that, okay, do I need to get out of bed? Do I need to get dressed and then take him out, right? Or am I ready once I hop out of bed to either take the dog out or to defend the home, right?
Yeah.
And so I sleep in, whether it's sweats or shorts or something like that, where I'm personally comfortable getting up and going outside, with the neighbors, right? And I'm comfortable enough that way, right? So I am mostly prepared, maybe slip on some shoes that are right by the bed. And I can be ready for most anything because I've got my EDC and my nightstand drawer right next to me, firearm lights and tools and so forth. And then, so I'm very quickly ready to go. And so part of that, and risking rambling, are my ears tuned? And mine are. We've lived in our home for 15 years. My ears are tuned to every little noise in the house, right? When water's running in the basement bathroom, or in the back bathroom or the laundry room, I am always thinking, okay, is something leaking that I need to address, right? My ears tune to these particular things, like, okay, I need to, this is important, I need to look into that. Or there's a noise and I can't identify that noise, and I go look and see what that noise
happened to me
is,
this morning. I woke up at 7 o'clock. I never wake up at 7 o'clock, and I was like, there's some people, somebody's in my laundry room right now. And I walk out there.
You just know by the sound, right?
Yeah, it's like there's somebody in my, like, I just woke up and somebody's in my laundry room. I go out there to find out who in the world's in my laundry room. It's my son. I'm like, hey, you never wake up. Like, noon is your wake up time. Like, what are you doing at 7 in the morning? He's like, I have a school activity. I'm like, you didn't put it on the calendar. Like, if we didn't
notify any of us. Yeah.
Anyways, so I went back to bed, thankfully. But man,
I'm just impressed that he's doing his laundry. How old's that boy?
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, he's 17. And yeah, a couple months ago, we trained him how to do it, and he likes it. He does it. So that's great.
It's nice to eliminate some of the work. It's funny. We talk about this. Like, I used to sleep in my underwear. And then as I started thinking more practically, I'm like, I better have something on or nothing. Because you either want to be presentable to everybody or scare the crap out of somebody. Who wants a naked guy running at him with a gun and a flashlight in the middle of the night? Nobody. Nobody's gonna stick around, right? Unless you're a specific target by a specific group. Like, the chances are a normal everyday thief's gonna be like, no, I'm not. No, bounce, right? Yeah. But this whole topic, you got me thinking of this Kesha song that I've just popped in my head.
In your brain.
Wow, see that? In my brain, my breadbasket brain of mine. It just popped in, and I'm like, wake up in the morning. You know that song?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it before.
It's one of those earworm songs. I changed the intro because of you. So here it is for our listeners' world debut, Scott's version. Just the first opening. This is the, I guess it's called TikTok, which is funny because now there's a social media platform called that. But I'm not going to sing it. Wake up in the morning feeling like the prepared guy. Get ready, girl. Grab my glasses, gun, and kit. I'm going to hit this city. Let's go. Before I leave, brush my teeth, double check my whole pack, because when I leave for the day, I ain't gonna slack. What?
I like it. Good job, brother.
And it's like,
That's awesome.
Yeah, what do you do? What's your routine? I have a simplified routine. You've got a routine. Paris has a routine. Like, I wake up, I check my stuff. I grab my pants, right? As soon as I'm awake, if there's not something urgent, I throw on new pants, have all my stuff in my pockets. Boom, 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 boom. Check, double check, make sure. Like, it's like when you grab a drill, what do you normally do when you grab a drill? Or a screwdriver, like an electric one, right?
Yeah, you just check it out.
Man habit. First thing I do when I get out of bed and I change my pants, I grab my pants, I put everything in the pockets, and then I double check the pockets.
Chamber around, and
I make sure everything's there, from cash in the wallet to like everything, all of my EDC, including my spare pair of glasses, fill the pockets, double check everything. Because at the end of the day, I empty the pockets to my nightstand, second shelf. But it's like that is my daily routine. If I don't do that and I'm going to slack around the house, I feel weird.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm just sitting in my pajamas. I'm like, I need. And someone's like, "Hey, can you fix this?" I'm like, "I don't have any of my tools on me." Oh, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's really important to have the tools on your person, right? There are a lot of people on YouTube that talk about, stash a gun here, stash it, a handgun there, a rifle, a shotgun here or there. And yes, that's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but it still takes time to get from where you are to where that weapon is, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's
for
personal
me,
preference. Yeah.
It really is, and it's level of comfort. I think people probably think I'm crazy that I get out of bed, do the bathroom thing, right, and then everything's on, right? But the most anxiety I feel is you're in the bathroom, right? You hear a noise, you can't identify that noise, you don't know what that noise is, but I want to go out and investigate, but I'm occupied for the foreseeable future for a little while, and so things just have to happen. So and that's, I guess, one of the things that is working in my head all the time is I am responsible for my home, everything that happens in the home, for the safety, security, providing, and everything. So I probably have taken that to a higher level, or maybe you might call it a level of paranoia for some people. But for me, it is absolutely routine, and it is normal, and I feel no panic or no anxiety whatsoever. But it just has become part of me, these routines, and I've got a huge list as well of things that I do every day throughout the day that help me to always be prepared and mindful and watchful and ready for most anything, I guess you could say.
Well, we're all creatures of habit. Like you kind of have to have we love routine. As a parent, your kids love routine. They thrive when there's a routine. We thrive when there's a routine.
Yeah.
When our routine is off, that's when we struggle. Like, you put me on vacation and I'm supposed to be relaxed and having a good time. Okay. Yeah. I'm off routine, and it's a struggle, and it's twice as much effort mentally to be on vacation than to have a normal day of life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's a sad thing that I'm dysfunctional, but that's just how I feel. And it's also, I just read this article that when you go somewhere on vacation or for work, whatever, the first night you're there sleeping, only half your brain shuts down. That's why you're so much more tired the next day. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily jet lag, because this happens if you drive, walk, fly, ride a bicycle, horse, whatever. And it's part of your body's survival mechanism to do that naturally. And so I look at that and I go, no wonder I'm so exhausted when we do these road trips where we stay at a different place every night. And I get back and I come home, and it's like the first night home, I sleep like a baby.
Because you're back in your element.
I feel safe and secure. My brain can shut down. where it hasn't the whole week.
Well, there's that idea too, if you need a vacation from your vacation, you know, sometimes because
absolutely. That's true with me. And, you know, I think part of that is, you know, the nightly routine. What do you do to get ready, you know, at night? Because, you know, or I know for a fact, if I don't go check the doors, make sure the windows are shut and locked, the blinds are drawn, the lights are off, or the night lights are turned on, it doesn't usually happen. I mean, it does occasionally. I won't say always, but, you know, there are certain lights in the house I like to have on because, you know, we hear stories about, oh, someone so-and-so got shot at home because someone else thought they were a burglar. I'm like, I don't get that. Doesn't make any sense to me, because when I get out of bed, I really don't need my light unless power outage, because I have this light on there and I have this light strategically on there. I can go down the stairs and it's well enough lit that I'm not going to trip, and I can see if somebody's at the bottom of the stair and so forth. I don't really have any dark corners in my house. And I know some people really like to sleep in the dark. I've trained myself to sleep with the TV on, right, with, you know, other distractions. And so for me, that works, to have a small light on throughout the house, where when I'm up, I can stick my glasses on. Obviously, I'm blind. I got these glasses. That's my very first thing. Boom, glasses. And if I can't find those glasses, I'm panicking. You know, my hands are, anyway, it sucks. Anyway, so from there, you know, everything is well enough lit that I don't need to break out a flashlight to go around the house or turn lights on and off. So, and, you know, make sure doors are locked, and they're locked all day long, every day anyway, right?
And there's certain things that people do. For example, like you have a routine to go to work the same way, and you have a routine to come home the same way. Yep. I work from home, so my routine is always the same: down the stairs and turn right and go into my office. You know, so that, and then when I'm going for lunch, it's the same routine. So just be my thing, I think, would say is that every day, and frankly, there's some really good ways to maybe change your neurological pathways. I've heard where for example, if you take a shower and you start with your shoulders, for example, you know, start with your knees tomorrow and see if that, because sometimes changing it up gives us the ability to kind of be more, oh, wait, I should have some awareness here. Like if you brush your teeth and you start with the right side, start brushing your teeth with the left side, you know, and see if that kind of helps give you a little bit of like, hey, because you want to get in a routine, and that saves you a lot of energy and it saves you a lot of mental bandwidth. So habits are good. Make sure the habits are giving you the value that you want and leading you in the direction that you want to go. And so that's where I would say, okay, wait a minute. And maybe every once in a while, it's a good idea to kind of give yourself a little bit of a stirring it up and do something a little differently. Like a lot of people know that, you know, working out, for example, one of the things I do or try to do on a regular basis is I get up and after I kind of do my morning routine, I get up, get dressed I have a gym in one of my spare rooms, and I work out. And I just feel like that's something that's, for me, it's readiness, it's preparedness. It kind of gets the endorphins pumping. I walk on the treadmill for 10 minutes, and then I go actually lift weights. And I increase the weights. And unfortunately, I've gotten to the point where, like, okay, I'm about as far as I can go on the dumbbells. Maybe and I got to start buying more dumbbells, but we just added a new system to our weight room, and it's kind of fun now because I have a new way to do and work the muscles. And I actually noticed that I was sore after doing about the same weight that I thought, because I was hitting it from a different angle, a different way. And that gives your body that new stimulus, which gives you the ability to kind of grow and expand. And so that's, to me, that's in the gym. Sure, that's with your physical body, but what are you doing mentally too to prepare yourself or open your mind? Because not always is preparation like you're sitting in your front window with your gun loaded to wait to see if some hooligans walking by in your neighborhood. Sometimes giving your mind a rest, or maybe you should read a different book than you normally do. That way your mind is like, okay, I'm expanding, I'm making different synapses shoot off, so that I'm recognizing that there's the pattern that I'm in is one way, but now I'm kind of changing the pattern a little bit to give myself a new way to look at things. And when you have that awareness, sometimes you'll see things that you didn't see before. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. What I find with myself when I'm in my routine, and I've got a number of different routines, that I'll go through that routine, and when I'm done with it, like okay, did I actually lock the door? Did I actually turn that light off or turn on? Because it became so automatic, I wasn't even thinking about it. And I go back and check and say, oh yeah, I did lock the door, but I don't remember locking the door. And I don't remember doing this or that, but it's something I do every time, right? And I get through that process and I go back and question myself, did that actually get done? So, and so I've got some examples, but I won't bore you, but I think that's a great idea to switch things up so that you're, again, like I like to say, that consciously competent at doing things, right? So that, so I go through that process and go check those boxes in my mind, and that, okay, everything is safe and secure. I can go to sleep and my mind is not thinking, did I do this? Did I do that? And that's, of course that happens for me with work as well. Middle of the night, I'll wake up thinking, oh crap, I got to do this, and I got a notepad and then write it on the side of the bed. I write a note so I can get it out of my brain and go back to sleep. Right. So
that's a really good practice. And then you said something the other day too, Shane. I don't remember which episode it was, but you said something a couple episodes ago that you always try to make sure that your shoes are next to your bed. And I thought that was a great idea. I actually do. I have sandals, and my tennis shoes are next to my bed, and I put them under my bed actually. And I think that's a great idea, because right when if you need to, you can jump out of bed, and then you're not like, okay, where the heck are my shoes, and what part of they're right there. Yeah. And if you need to go, you got that accessibility. So there's some good habits like that, some good placement like that every day. Just make sure that everything's in its place, so that you want to, when you're ready or when you need it, you're struggling to look for it.
Yeah, I actually learned that lesson, not just from living near earthquakes and being around earthquakes, but man, if you go camping, that's when you need to know. You got to be good at that. And you're like, oh, I should probably do this when I'm home. Yeah, I'm not going to be walking around outside immediately, but it's good to have those shoes right there with you so you can go. Because it's better to be prepared than to not. It's so easy to neglect preparedness, but what's funny is it's so easy to make it a daily practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's easier to do that, to make it a daily practice, than anyone wants to let on.
Yeah, I think the problem it can be is that it's we've talked about this a million times. Our society today is about convenience, right? And so it is not very convenient to have to go to the bank and get cash and stick it in your wallet. It's so much easier to swipe that card, right? One thing that I've learned, and to avoid embarrassment and wasted time and such, every time I go to the grocery store, I make sure I have enough cash in my wallet to pay for my groceries. So that
that's a great place to cash out too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everywhere. It's funny. I was at Jiffy Lube and they're like, do you want any cash back as I'm paying for I'm like, check the wallet. Yeah, actually, I'd like another $30. Okay. I'm like, you guys actually have cash on hand? They're like, we do, but it kind of sucks because in the beginning of the day, if everyone takes it, we're out of luck for the rest of the day. But I'm like, you can get it almost anywhere. Anywhere there's an ATM, or a card reader, it's an ATM now.
Yeah, that's true.
Use it, get the cash out, carry the cash with you.
Yeah, so you happen to go to bank.
Although, as a reminder, I don't think every store there's a limit to how much they'll give you. So if you want more than $40 or $50 or something like that, you may have to go to a couple stores. We wanted $100. We were in California and my brother, my nephew was graduating from high school, and we're like, well, we forgot to bring the cash, and we're like, crap, let's go to the store real quick. And they're like, oh, we only allow you to get $40. I'm like, what? I got to go to 3 stores now? Anyway, so ended up, my brother had an extra 100 and we just paid him, but it was like,
nice,
dude, some of these stores, I'm like, are you kidding me? They have a limit. So be aware of that. But I think on another note, for just everyday awareness is to, keep your routines, but also, change them up. And then if you travel anywhere, one thing that I like to do wherever I go is just, play a game, if you will. Okay, when I go to the grocery store, I'll kind of play a game with myself. How many people are sitting in their car in the parking lot? How many people are, not paying attention right now? And I could probably take them out. You know what I mean? So I sometimes when I go out and do things and I'm walking around, I'm people watching that's kind of it's a game that I have to play. Okay, if I needed to do something right now, or if that guy came at me, what would I do? You know, so I have a couple scenarios like that I try to run whenever I do go out and about. And I probably go out a couple times a week, you know, for things, running errands and whatnot. And so it's kind of, that's just a fun game that I like to play when I'm out and about. And it doesn't take, I suppose this, you know, you might think, well, Paris, that's kind of paranoid. Well, yeah, but if you play it like a game, then it's more of a game than a paranoia. But, and then they're like, yeah, you know, nice Paris, you know. So anyway, so I would just say that, you know, if you have a game like that you can play with yourself to keep yourself aware of what's going on around you, like count how many cars or how many people are sitting in their car, how many people have baseball caps, how many people look like they're carrying, how many people, how many men, how many women, how many kids. Like, it's kind of fun to just kind of run those numbers. Where's the exits? You know, we went to the grocery store. I went out on a daddy-daughter date with my daughter the other night, and I sat in a strategic location, and she's like, Dad, can I sit next to you instead of across the table? I'm like, yeah. So she was wanting to kind of feel that. I mean, I don't know how she felt it, but she felt that, hey, if I sit closer to Dad, I'll be in a safer position. So even out and about, you know, just be aware of what's going on around you and be in a place where if anything happened, because you never know, some weirdo could walk in the door and you might be the one guy that saves the whole restaurant or the whole store, you know?
Well, yeah, I think the important part about what you're saying, Parrish, is that it may be weird at first, but as you do that, as you're pumping gas, you walk around your corner, you're observing everyone around you, right? Because that's a place where crime happens often. While you're pumping gas, people are not paying attention. And if you're at the grocery store, you're standing in line, you're just looking around, you're being aware. And if you're doing that every day and creating those habits, it becomes second nature. It becomes automatic, and you don't have to make a game out of it. It doesn't have to be weird. It's just, it's just common sense, rather than have your head buried in your phone or just not thinking about anything.
Exactly.
Be aware. And like you say, it can be a game. It can be, it can sharpen your mind. Is what you're sharpening the blade, you're sharpening the edge, the tip of the spear, as they say. And when something happens, you're going to be ready. And that's what always being prepared is about. Again, I go back to my little situation of coming across that accident. I was not prepared mentally. I was in the wrong place, and plenty of excuses for that, right? But if I constantly practice that, which I do now, that is much more on my mind now, so that if and when that happens again, I can react more like a professional, right? Like you see these professionals, the paramedics and the police officers that show up, they seem very impersonal, right? They're not involved. That's because they're doing their job, and they're focused on what needs to happen. And I realize now, especially after the last time around, is that their minds are very clear. They know exactly what they need to do next. And so that's where I want to be in every situation. I know it's not guaranteed, but I think, like you're saying, if you're incorporating that into like sitting and facing the door in a restaurant, right? Because now you're responsible for that door and everybody who comes through it. It becomes second nature, and it's not weird. It's just normal.
Yeah, I think anything we do is going to be weird when we first do it, and we might reject it or say, nah, I don't want to do that. But the more for example, I was listening to a podcast the other day about financial coaches, and this lady was running a course for them to be able to really build their business. And she gave them a challenge at the beginning, and everybody was like, I don't want to do that. And then they said, it doesn't matter. This is the course. This is the challenge. If you want to be in this course, you got to do this challenge. At the end of the challenge, she said, of all the things you learned in this course, what's the one thing you'll continue to do automatically? And they're like, that initial challenge that we all didn't want to do, that's what we'll continue to do because it produced the best results. And so it's like budgeting, your finances. Like, nobody wants to sit down and look at their bank account. It's boring. It's boring as heck. And you get scared sometimes. You're like, dude, I just spent how much on what? And so, but you got to do it. And the more you do it, the more you become like that paramedic, where you're more impartial to it. You're like, okay, look, that was my fault. I shouldn't have spent that much money on that thing. Okay, now I'm going to spend less on that thing the next time, or I won't buy that the next time because I'll be more aware. And that's awareness in our budget. But then that can happen anywhere, like with anything and everything. Apply that to everything and anything else in your life that you want to do. And that every single day. And it seems like you might at first, like you said, that you mentioned conscious incompetence or unconscious competence, then at some point you're going to get to the point where it's just routine and just becomes part of your nature. But in the beginning, it's like, now wait a minute, what am I doing again? Like, what am I supposed to do every day? Like, it's just it kind of is a struggle at first as you're learning, but then as you grow in it, you're going to really get good at it. And that's with everything. That's every skill.
Mm-hmm.
So a gym that I went to, one of the best trainers that I'd met there talked about, when I first take someone who hasn't been to the gym in a long, long time and start working on their program, I don't have them do anything other than come to the gym and walk around for the first few days. And I'm like, wait, hold on, time out. Why? He goes, I want them to come and not get hurt, not feel nervous, not feel like they have to do anything. I want them to spend 15, 20 minutes walking around all the areas of the gym that they're allowed to go in to get familiar and comfortable with it. Because more than getting results with weight loss or weight gain or muscle mass, like whatever that is, they've got to get into the habit of utilizing that time and knowing that time is dedicated to being at the gym. So that even if they get injured, they still know, okay, I can't do everything, but I'm still going to the gym today to do what I can.
Yeah.
Right? So that when they start seeing results, week 2, they start doing the work. They're not going to just bow out right away. They're not going to just quit. And so even when I compare that to preparedness, it's like, start small, even if it's just look at your checklist every day or consider something, like take some time to be thoughtful. Some people talk about calling it being meditative, like creating a meditative time first thing in the morning to think about things that are most vital to you, and like creating just a time slot to do something. And always keeping that time slot, keeping that appointment with yourself. Then as you grow, as you've gotten accustomed to that time slot, now you can add things into it, like checking your car before you leave, padding your time 10, 15 minutes. Am I checking my car for flats before I leave? Am I like, the last thing you want to do is be in a rush, roll out the door the last minute, and oh man, I got a flat, or I got 2 flats. Now what, right? And now I got to find an alternate solution.
Yeah, great point.
Taking care of that now or up front is such a huge advantage.
That reminds me of something that happened to me recently that I need to, I'm embarrassed to disclose. However, it's pertinent to the discussion. So I had my car, it's a Honda Pilot. I had it in the garage and I was loading things in the back. And I went in the house and something caught my attention, and I ran out and I was like, oh, I better get the car out of the garage and get it going. And I get in the driver's seat and I drive off, and bam, wham. I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? I look back and sure enough, I didn't close the back down. The back, yeah, the hatchback on my Honda Pilot. And so thankfully, all that happened was some scuff marks, but I was just like so embarrassed. And I was like, I didn't check before I drove. Like, that's another just example. Thankfully, it didn't have any serious damage. And so I'm okay. But man, that's another thing to always make sure. And I kind of reminds me of something else I probably should reveal right now. Like, we barbecue chicken every Sunday. Okay. So listen, I pretty much almost destroyed my house this weekend, like twice.
Oh, fun.
So on Saturday, I was out doing yard work and I got distracted, and I was filling up the lawn spray to spray the weeds in the lawn and save the lawn, but kill the weeds. And I forgot to turn the hose off. And the hose was right next to the window well of the basement, and I ended up flooding a little bit of the basement. Thankfully, we caught it early enough and that it didn't cause too much damage. So I'm just like, bro, I should have been doing, like, that's just yard work, right? And here I am causing it my own emergency. If I'd have just been more cognizant and aware. Sunday, that was Saturday this last week. Sunday this last week, I'm cooking a barbecue chicken. I haven't, and my son's like, hey, Dad, there's a lot of smoke coming out of the barbecue. What's going on? Sure enough, go and open the barbecue, and it's flames just come flying out of me. And I realized I haven't cleaned my barbecue in a long time. And all the buildup underneath caught fire, and now I almost burned down my house. Right. So Saturday I almost flooded my house. Sunday I almost burned my house down. I was like, what's Monday and Tuesday going to bring? Right. So I guess I'm being vulnerable right now to share that every day you need to be vigilant about the things that you're doing and have the gear that you're going to be using. Make sure if you don't clean your gun and you need to pull it and reuse it, you need to clean your gun. If you have an EDC knife and you've been opening packages and it hasn't been sharpened in a little while, maybe you need to sharpen it. Like those are some other things as well. Like don't just rely on what you think is doing. Make sure that what your tools are doing or needing to be done, and your gear and your barbecue and like everything is, make sure it's in working order so that when you need it, it's ready to go.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'm going to grab my Burt Gummer hat. Hang on.
While he's grabbing that, I want to talk about like when you do that, like make sure you're checking other
All right,
things.
here we go.
I
Burt
check,
Gummer hat.
I check and sharpen my knife pretty much every other week. But when I'm doing that, I'll also check, because I'll do it on a Saturday when I have extra time. I'll also check the rest of the knives in the house to see if anything else needs to be sharpened.
Yeah.
I started doing that this year, adding the additional knives in, because I was like, man, I'd get so frustrated when I'd go to use a knife. I'm like, this one's dull. Oh, this one's dull. And then I'd have to go through and sharpen it. And so utilizing time when you're working on another project, accomplish everything else that's similar within that project time frame. Go ahead, Bert.
Okay. When you need it and don't have it, you sing a different tune. So like you're talking, I mean, that was, I think, a perfect lead into that is obviously Burt Gummer, if there are 7 Tremors movies, and I watched them all this last week again.
All of them?
All of them. I watched them all.
Oh my God.
And when I watch a movie, it's off here in the distance while I'm working, right? That's how I watch, air quotes, watch a movie. But if anybody's always prepared, is Burt Gummer. But and again, he is kind of eccentric, I guess you could say, right? So I don't think that's entirely necessary. I think that's excessive, and probably he ruined his family life and and friends and so forth, and so I am definitely conscious and aware of my actions when it comes to those potential outcomes, right? I'm a fan of Burt Gummer in the first couple of movies, right? But anyway, I think he's absolutely right. When you need it and don't have it, you sing a different tune, and it's 2 is 1, 1 is none. Always being prepared is really a way of life. I mean, it's again, call yourself a prepper or whatever you might call yourself, but for Burt, it was an absolute way of life, and that's why he moved out to the middle of nowhere. I would like to do that. Not saying that needs to be done to be always prepared, but being aware. And you look, again, referring back to the movies, it wasn't always that way. You look back to the 4th movie where it was a prequel. That's where he really, he or his ancestors learned the reasons why to be always prepared. And it's, I wouldn't say it's a Matrix-like movie for me, but it's something I like to watch to remind myself of the possibilities, right? However extreme they might be at times.
I think another way to constantly or be aware or be involved in preparedness is if you have your home storage. Because I literally today I went to go grab something out of my pantry upstairs and it was not there. And I thought, oh, that's fine, because downstairs in my 90-day pantry, I have my stock. And so like every day I'm running out of something that I need to go to my 90-day pantry to get, and then I put it on my list to make sure I buy it to replace it and replenish it for the next time I go to the store. So I feel like that's a really, I mean, I don't know how you guys think, but I feel like that's a really good way to keep preparedness on top of mind is as you're rotating, you're probably every day or at least every other day, you're going to be replacing something that was in your quick grab pantry with something that was in your long-term pantry. And so that's something that I just thought of right now as I was thinking, because it literally just happened this afternoon when I went to go grab a snack, and I was like, oh, the snacks are gone. And I'm like, oh, no big deal. I got plenty of snacks down in my long-term pantry. And so I didn't need to go to the store because I went to my store.
It's nice to scold yourself and correct that behavior rather than being scolded by your wife to correct that behavior. Because I've been on the ladder a few times.
Yeah, I had that on my list, Paris. That's something I wanted to talk about as well. Is in our house I've got some pretty picky eaters, so we're not as traditional sit down for dinner type of family. It's like, okay, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? So we need to have a little bit of everything. Okay. So that at a moment's notice, we can make really pretty much whatever we want, right? I make sure that, like you say, the long-term pantry is stocked up a little bit deeper, so that if I need to go deep, I can go deep, and I can make pretty much whatever we want at a moment's notice. So yeah, absolutely. They think that's really important. That, again, that's mindset. I think a lot of people have the mindset of, okay, I need this, so I'm going to go to the store and get it.
Yeah.
Your store and my store and Scott's store is the downstairs pantry, right? Is the back room long-term pantry. And I think it's important.
We did that yesterday with mac and cheese too. My daughter was like, I want some mac and cheese. Do we have any? Like, we don't have any in the upstairs pantry, but we sure have some in the downstairs pantry.
Of course we do. Absolutely. And I think that's an example for the kids too. I think my kids see our long-term storage room, all the big, the buckets and the number 10 cans and everything. And occasionally I'll ask them, do you know why we have this, right? He says, yeah, absolutely. And I think it's very comforting to them to know that we are prepared for pretty much anything. I'd like to think so anyway. Especially when it comes to important things, food, shelter, water, right?
Yeah.
We are prepared long-term for those things.
Majority of emergencies, you're going to be answered by food, water, power, stuff like that. You don't need security. You don't need a gun to answer every question, but you can answer a lot of questions with food.
Bert Gummer does.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that.
I'm like, how do you use the gun to ask every question? Like, are you yelling at your pantry and telling it to put its
No, it's just always there.
Hamburger helper hands up. Like, what do you?
It's always there. It's always part of me. So it is a part of me. So it has a part of to do with everything I do. Right. So I guess that's my lame answer for that.
Well, it's funny. It's like as we're thinking of this, my thought came to mind like, oh, it's time to restock on my meats. I always have my freezer full of meat, but then I've actually just used one of my last cans of survival meat because it's actually really delicious and comes in handy. So guys, if you want to get your own home store of some really tasty 25-year shelf life, not freeze-dried food meat, like your hamburger, there's beef roast version, and then there's hamburger, and then there's chicken. And this is fantastic. Go over to survivalfrog.com, use the code PrepperTalk. You can use it on anything there. They've got all kinds of cool stuff, but use the code PrepperTalk to save 10% off at checkout. Anything you buy over there. But honestly, get some more. I need to get some more, but get some of their survival canned meats. Fantastic. You don't have to hydrate it. You can pretty much open it and cook it. It is so good. But yeah, I've got a list of things I've got to go restock this weekend because I let it go a little too long, if you know what I'm saying.
I know the feeling. And there's one thing we glossed over real quick that I wanted to jump back to, Paris, and your exercise routine. That's one big topic I had on my list is your health, right? Being able to sprint at a moment's notice. Are you going to hurt yourself? I'm getting up there in years. I try to stay flexible. I try to be able to do things not slowly, but quickly, right? So where you may hurt yourself if you're not in shape, if you're not limber, right? So staying in shape, you may need to sprint away from something from some danger. You may need to have cardio, have good cardio to go a long distance for an emergency. Maybe you need to walk 20 miles to get home if your vehicle breaks down. So I think health is extremely important for every day, being always prepared.
I agree. And to kind of do another quick commercial plug is that we haven't talked about Jase Medical in a while, but you need to have your medicines. A lot of people really count on those medicines, and it's important to have your medicines every day that you need to take and have a stash of them. And that's something that I'm really cognizant of now that my wife's health is changing. And I don't take as many things, but I'm probably going to have to start doing some stuff. But the point is that when you have those medicines, you need to have, if you're healthy and you're fit, the chance of diabetes and other things lowers. So in the meantime, go get your Jase Medical kit. You'll go to jase.com and get your kit, get your daily routine medicines, and then go start exercising and build your health to the point where you don't need those medicines anymore.
True.
Yeah,
That's what I'm working on right now.
That's the thing too, is you never know though. Like you might say, well, I want to, I don't need the medicine because I want to get healthy now. Well, crap might hit the fan between the time you actually get healthy enough to get rid of those medicines. So you still should have a stash just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of it is too, is like, there's the argument of, I don't need to be apocalypse fit right now because what I'm just dealing with is job loss or something, right? Minimal, that I don't have to be able to drag a body off my property, for lack of a better example. But honestly, longevity comes from the quality of your body, right? Getting the right minerals. I stock up on minerals, vitamins, and then working out. I need to do a lot better of. I need to increase my cardio. Since I stopped doing delivery driving, I have definitely felt a difference. But yeah, there's so much we can be doing better, all of us, in our fitness, except for the prepared guy who's over 50 and he can kick and he can stretch and he can kick.
It's getting harder, definitely getting harder to kick and stretch and kick. So yeah, that's something I find that I really need to focus on every single day because it just continues to get harder every day, right? And so,
yeah, well, there's a saying in exercise physiology: motion is lotion. And so if your joints are hurting or if things are not working properly, then it's time to start moving a little bit more. Maybe doing hip flexor. Maybe instead of lifting like a bodybuilder, you just go do functional training where it's gets your body moving and stretching in different ways. And I have a good buddy that he's an exercise physiologist, and he gave me some exercises. And I was like, bro, I never even heard of these muscles. You know what I mean? Let alone like how to exercise them and stretch them. And he's like, oh yeah, dude, you'll be set, ready to go after a couple of sessions of this. And I'm like, and it was different for my body. It was good because it gave my body a new thing to kind of adjust to. So just constantly be changed. Don't change everything, but there are some things that you need to kind of just get out of your comfort zone and expand and grow in. And every day you can do something to grow your mind, something to grow your body, and something to expand your skill sets. And that's what I think. I read probably a couple dozen books, maybe. I don't know. I think last year I read probably 15 or 16 books. And people are like, how do you read so many books? I'm like, well, 10 pages a day. 10 pages a day.
That's all it takes.
And that's all it takes. And I could read a bunch of books. I probably have read probably 10 books already this year, and it's just 10 pages a day. And you never know. Like it's just so crazy to think how much you can actually do when you make a little bit of progress every single day.
Yeah. I guess a few last comments for me real quick. Keep your gas tanks full, keep your vehicles well maintained, back into parking stalls. That's what it's not just, it's cool. It's tactical. It's tactical, right? And then so many other things. Training. We've talked about this recently. That is really the best way to be prepared. We talk about survivalists versus preppers. Survivalists have the skills more than the gear, right? So my last 2 bits.
Great bits. Guys, thank you for listening to Prepper Talk Radio. This has been Radio for the Ready-Minded, or as we now call it, podcast for the prepared, or those who are trying to prepare. Like, this is for newbies and veterans alike. If you want to get more involved, make sure you join our group, Emergency Prep and Self-Reliance. Go over to our website, preppertalkradio.com, for some really cool stuff. We've got a book that's just about to launch. Go join the email list to make sure you see when that drops. And we look forward to seeing you in there and being part of the community. Until next time, stay ready. Double check, triple check, and quadruple check your stuff. Make sure you've got a rotation and that you're creating a plan of action to keep on top of your daily preparedness. Have a great night.
See you next week.